Hello, everyone. I'm here today with one of my very good friends. He makes predominantly My Hero Academia content. He was on a content grind for a few. He had to stop due to reasons we won't get into, but he is back. So if you want more My Hero Academia content, he's the go-to guy. I'll have his channel linked in the description. His name is Smurf. Say what's up.
What's good, y'all? What's good?
Sir, yes, sir. So this video won't be like a power scaling video, but it will be kind of still on the
Mhm.
topic of power and what Boruto can do. But we're basically going to be talking about if Boruto can handle Deku's quirk or One For All. If you don't know, One For All gets passed down to Deku from All Might, and it kind of puts a heavy strain on the body, and it takes a while for Deku to master it. He be messing up his limbs, arms,
Mhm.
fingers, breaking his bones. It's very gruesome. But after he
Mhm.
masters this quirk, he can use it to its full capabilities and even rivals All Might in strength. And we're going to be going down the various forms of Boruto and if they could handle this same power that Deku is blessed with. So
Yes,
Smurf, do
sir.
you want to start off on how One For All kind of works?
Yeah, so basically, All Might just talks about it as if it's a network of power. He talks about how strong it gets as it passes down from user to user. So the power itself kind of already stacks as it gets carried on, and that more than likely just follows with the understanding of One For All. And each time a person gets it, they have to kind of train their bodies to even master the basics of the quirk. We see like in the earlier episodes or even chapters of My Hero, Deku's body is just kind of limp, like he's real skinny. So All Might kind of teases him, and he gets on him a lot about getting his body into shape until he's able to at least control 5% of it. And even it takes him a while to even do that until he go visits Gran Torino, and he starts having conversations with himself overnight and training and whatnot. He doesn't really get a full understanding about even how to flow the energy throughout his entire body. So it's a really complex quirk to have to use. The other thing too is it's not like a power system like chakra or cursed energy or something like you might see in another anime today. It's all biological, and even the scientists and medical researchers of their world, they still don't understand the full extent of it, but they do reference it as something spiritual. So it's a really complex quirk.
Yeah. So, like Smurf said, there's kind of varying degrees of how much power you can and should let off. And let's say if Deku at that point couldn't control 10% of the quirk, he would let off 1% so his body can kind of mediate that power. And Smurf also added there's a spiritual aspect to it as well. This is great for someone like Boruto, who, as you know in Naruto, chakra is part spiritual, and a lot of the jutsu and abilities they use and most of the concepts in Naruto are just spiritual in nature. So Boruto should have very good ease with controlling and eventually mastering this ability. And I know Deku kind of has to train his body and get kind of buff or bulky and more fit than he was prior. But in Naruto, training your body and hardening it and for it to withstand stronger things and stronger attacks, it could come in the form of looking more bulky and physically more fit. But we see
Hmm.
that even if they get stronger, harder, physically more fit, it kind of doesn't change the way the body looks. Like Naruto and Sasuke, even though they grow like in power dramatically throughout the series, their body always remains kind of a slim, sleek look. Right?
Hmm.
Even Might Guy and Lee, to a certain extent, they train and do thousands of push-ups and laps around the Konoha village, but their body never really gets that muscle marble design such as Saitama, even though they do similar exercises. So even though
All right.
Boruto's body may not look like Deku's, we could still say that his body is trained and hard. With that being said, let's get into the first version of Boruto that we're going to be going over, or the early Chunin exam scientific ninja tool Boruto. So the first version of Boruto being him with the scientific ninja tool, like I said, he trains and he's shown to know a few elements, like I think he knows water, lightning, and wind. But that's more or less just natural talent and the fact that he's a prodigy. This is commented on by Kakashi and various people throughout the verse. It's not really to say that he's physically training. Because as we know, Boruto's physicals at this point, he's kind of a bratty kid. He just wants to train with his father, and he doesn't really do the hard work himself. When he has to do hard work versus Kakashi, he inevitably ends up cheating because he thinks his Rasengan is too small, so he reverts to the scientific ninja tool. And even when he's using the scientific ninja tool, we can see his arm and body get kind of pushed back when he lets out attacks against Momoshiki. So that's just speaking that he's not physically or battle hardened or trained like any shinobi we've seen thus far. This Boruto most likely just cannot handle the quirk at all. And Smurf can kind of give more on that on the Deku side and relate that to how Deku was early on. I'll let him handle that.
So yeah, in correlation to that, we can see even with Deku, he was in a worse spot than Boruto because he didn't train at all. He was actually weak, and he was shown since chapter 1 to get bullied by the likes of Bakugo and the other bullies that were around him. But it wasn't until somewhere around middle school where he meets All Might that he starts to train. So even like in the quirk apprehension test arc, where we see he's gotten stronger, like they show his grip strength has increased by 16 kilograms. He's gotten a bit faster. He still can't handle One for All yet. All Might is teasing him a lot of times, showing that how weak he is. But he's also putting in the work to even get to a point where he can awaken the quirk himself, or use it to knock out the one-pointer robot that we see in the battle trial arc. So it's really difficult for somebody like Boruto at the time, who hasn't really gone through a whole lot of similar training that's needed for One for All, to even master 5% of it.
So, like Smurf said, they are very similar in the regard that they were kind of untrained. And Boruto, even though he was a prodigy, don't get me wrong, he was still untrained, unseasoned, and his body was not as sharp as it would be in the near future. Speaking of the near future, after Boruto gets his ninja way and awakens the Will of Fire for the first time, and gets the heart with Sasuke, his new master, to find Naruto in another dimension and save him from the space god Momoshiki, that's when we actually start to see what Boruto would be if he actually put in work and stopped being a bratty kid that hates his father. So he fights this Jonin known as Ao, who was a Hokage guard back in Naruto's era or the war arc, but now he's souped up on scientific ninja tools. And when I mean Boruto is a complete 180, Boruto now is dodging lasers, running away from gunfire, tanking hits from Ao, being beat up and battered and actually lasting in a fight, and able to overcome this hard battle-trained seasoned warrior souped up on scientific ninja tools known as Ao. It's almost like two different characters. Boruto goes from a bratty child to someone who can actually contend with adults and people who are in the warring periods where you have to die and fight and train your body so you can save your village and fight for your pride and Will of Fire. Boruto is a true force to be reckoned with at this point, but even with that being said, One for All is still not the type of quirk that you just use pure power and AP. And even though Boruto might be stronger or like faster or have better reaction speeds than Deku at this point, his body is still not hard trained for this quirk that goes through your muscles and kind of just penetrates your body, and the energy flows through you on like some kind of genetic level, because he does have to eat All Might's hair, right, Smurf?
Yeah, and it's stated that it's not necessarily just his hair; it could be any form of DNA. We've seen that a couple times throughout the series where they talk about it. But to correlate that also, it's kind of funny because in the Stain arc, we see Deku, who starts to be able to use 5%, even contend with people that could box with a younger All Might, and those type people are like Gran Torino and even Stain, who, even though they had to kind of 3v1 Stain, Deku was still able to put out enough power later on to be able to even worry Stain. And Stain can just fear hacks Gran Torino no problem. It was to the point where Gran Torino had to call All Might and say like yo, bro, this dude is just like you. Like he mirrors your symbol of peace, but in a form of fear, just off of his ideals. So Deku's 5% is actually something to not to scoff at in terms of having to master it. Even with the Stain fight and them going past that, he still had a lot more training to do. Even people like Aizawa point out the fact that he's still not necessarily ready. Gran Torino even kind of talks to All Might and tells him like, hey, you know, we need to get you together. You need to hurry up and get you trained so that you can master this. And then we see later on that All Might has to kind of kick himself into gear to properly train Deku to master this quirk.
Yeah, and like you can kind of get to see that when Deku, even though he's fighting people like Smurf said, who can fight teenage All Might or someone who can fight a younger All Might and Gran Torino, even though All Might probably had mastery over the quirk more than Deku did, the fact that Deku just genetically and his body just wasn't trained as him, even if he's outputting the same type of damage, he's not using the same amount that All Might was doing. And that
Mhm.
again gets to the genetics, because he had to eat something like a hare and mix his DNA with someone who had the quirk prior. This goes past durability. This goes past the AP and damage output that they would do across the verses of each other. Like, even if Deku could destroy a mountain and Boruto could destroy a planet, it wouldn't even mean that Boruto could control something like One for All, because
Right.
it
And
is
and
genetically. And it's stated that you can't train your organs, or you can't fortify things like your organs, heart, lungs, and things like your genes in Naruto.
and then as another final point to that too, they also state quite a few times that One for All just isn't a strength enhancing quirk. It's never been such a thing. So it's a lot more deep than just you have a power and you get used to it and you get stronger. It evolves into something so much more later on, as we'll get to that as we go down the line.
Yeah. So this version of Boruto is sad to say again, but he doesn't have the push, the will of fire. He's battle trained more so than what we see at the beginning of the series, but his body still just isn't equipped to handle something like One for All. But that all truly changes once we get into the current Boruto, or the 100% Otsutsuki Boruto. Now he is completely battle hardened. His body is trained after multiple training with Naruto and Kawaki. His soul is on a different level. His mentality is on a different level, as he's been battling with this inner demon and showing that he can overcome complete odds against him. So now I think this is time where One for All is truly equipped for someone like Boruto. And this all partnered with how his body is now 100% alien god, so it should be way tougher than what his human body was. Boruto also, with this 100% Otsutsuki body, is stated to be able to control just power in general way easier. We now see he has the chakra control and mastery to make massive Rasengans at will. He can fight people that are supposed to be way stronger, because he can just control his speed and body at a higher level than what they can do. So he is now working in tandem with someone who is on a mental plane with him, Momoshiki, who can like give him ideas, tell him where to dodge, things like that. Just everything better than what the prior Boruto's was.
And to bounce off of that point too, Deku also is capable at this point of boxing with people that are on Prime All Might's level, if not, stronger. A lot of people like to look at the 60 times back scale, or the 60% back scale that we talk about in the USJ arc when he beats up the Nomu. But the thing is, you have things happening after that that makes Deku mastering One for All so much better, right? You see the situation where Endeavor goes and he beats up a Nomu that was stronger than the one that All Might beat up in USJ. And then that same Endeavor goes to fight a more prime reversed All for One. And at that time, Shigaraki is on par with this All for One when he goes to fight Star and Stripe, who is stated not to necessarily be on the same level as Prime All Might, but we know she can contend with USJ All Might in the very least. So in that instance, when we see him fighting Shigaraki later on, and his total defense form is stronger than all of these people mentioned before, and Deku is able to just wail on him while showing the finite control that he has over One for All. It all comes full circle as to how much more control, how much more training you need to be able to handle something like that. And we also see a bit earlier when he goes into his damage epsilon kind of arc, is his dark Deku arc, if some people want to call it that, where he goes and he squares off against somebody like Muscular, where he struggles so much that he has to use a fake 1,000,000% just to kind of beat him and overwhelm him. Back then, he was still kind of putting himself in a thought process like he was All Might, just to kind of get out of that situation, a what would All Might do type of thing. But later on, when he goes to fight Muscular, he then has another resolve where he's able to understand that he is his own hero, and he has to fully comprehend that to take control of One for All, to be able to knock Muscular out and continue on his path.
And kind of to speak lastly on this note of Boruto and Deku similarities, we see throughout My Hero Academia that not only just physically, like that's been mentioned throughout this whole video a lot. You're probably tired of hearing it, but Deku has went through a lot of strain and struggles mentally with the weight of his entire school and the Hero Association being put down on him. Boruto has a very similar situation right now in the manga that he's showed his resolve to. His whole world's been flipped upside down. All of his friends have turned on him. His dad is sealed in an unknown dimension. And now, even though his master doesn't even believe him, the one friend that is out of this kind of mind hacksy genjutsu world swap is still rooting from him from the inside. And Sasuke tells him to his face. He doesn't really believe him, but he trusts his daughter. If his daughter says it's good, it's like his memories are getting suppressed, but he'll believe Boruto and they're gonna train. So Boruto, in the face of all of this turmoil and bad things happening, still smiles and just asserts his will of fire. His mental strength is just on another level now, along with his physicals and alien body, and just the ability to control power in general. So this Boruto should have no issue letting out the full capabilities of One for All. Time skip Boruto is kind of the same thing as this Boruto now, but just even better. So you can basically relate to everything that I said about current Boruto to time skip Boruto. He's way more mentally prepared. He's way stronger. He has more access to all this power. So he should also just have no issue letting out 100% of One for All, just like Deku can currently in the manga.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that point, it took Deku some time to even get there. We see a lot of times he regresses in the story. It's the one reason why people tend to not like Deku, but that's neither here nor there. We see a lot of regression with Deku, but with his regression has typically come a lot of progression. So we even see, and now I'm going to go back on a few chapters here, but we even see the times where he's in Damage Epsilon mode. He's going through a dark time where he has to understand that in order for him to grow even more and to get to a point where he can use 100% properly, he has to know that he's not alone. He has to know that in order for him to fight at max capacity, he has to fight with his friends, his class themselves. And once he gains more understanding and he's able to then go approach Shigaraki on his own, he's able to channel all of the vestiges within him to tap into that 100%, as he constantly talks to them on the inside and fights alongside them as well. And even through doing this, he taps into more than 100%. He goes into 120%, which is where he does things like transmission into gear shift in order to tag Shigaraki and beat the dog shit out of him like he was doing in the more recent chapters. And we'll more than likely see Deku go past that 120%, because as things happen, like Bakugo potentially awakening again, or other characters start to become damaged or they die, more grief is going to strike Deku at a point when he has to face off against All For One as he goes to approach incomplete Shigaraki. And then he's going to have to make a choice as to whether to break down once again, like he did when he first saw Bakugo laying on the ground dead, or if he's going to surpass all of the things leading to this point that have done nothing but push him down or oppress him, even from a child all the way up into this point. So we will more than likely see him tap into way more than 120% in order to defeat the likes of All For One.
As you can see, with that being said, regardless of how difficult it is for One For All to be mastered and used consistently on the body, you having to have the mental fortitude, the genetics, and also just to harden the body to use it, Boruto is well equipped now and further in the future to be just like Deku. Right? He should be able to use this 100%, and he just should have no problem controlling this. But
yeah, for sure.
If you enjoy videos like this, or if you enjoyed this video, I would ask you to like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe to Smurf. You know, like I said, he's just gonna be doing more content, more consistent.
Yes, sir.
My Hero content. So if that's your favorite new gen, or if you think it's peak fiction or whatever, head over there. We're gonna be also doing a video on his channel. It's gonna be a follow-up, more like a Deku versus Boruto type video. We're gonna be explaining basically why it isn't close. Yeah, hope you enjoyed. Got any closing statements, Smurf?
No. Hey, like and subscribe. It's
Yes,
your boy Smurf. We out.
Bye.